Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial.
How long will it be that countries keep experiencing these climate impacts before someone gets desperate and says, hey, we need to cool the planet with solar geoengineering?
It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
Oh my God, you guys, I've got something so crazy to share with you today. It's totally nuts. You know how my fellow creator Katie Hopkins and fellow holder of Unacceptable Views, she begins all her videos with, this is an update from batshit bonkers Britain. Well, what I've got to tell you today is totally batshit bonkers, but I can't steal her catchphrase, right? So I'm gonna share with you an update from On Go Oi Got Idiotic Europe, or 傻閪世界, Stupid World. It's not literally Stupid World, it's something much worse than that, but I'm not allowed to say it in this, you're not allowed to begin a YouTube video with a profanity. Let me know in the comments if you know what that means, 傻閪世界. But what I'm going to discuss with you today, this new initiative that the UK government has just signed off, is the sort of thing that only a total 傻閪would come up with. And we had no say in it. There was no democratic process by which we signed up to this. What is it you're asking me? Well, the elite have decided that they're gonna run a crazy experiment to dim the sunlight for the purpose of tackling climate change. To dim the sunlight. Yes. And the UK government has just signed off on it over this last week, quietly. But it's happening. So just last week, the UK government gave the green light to outdoor trials that can be conducted for new, what's called geoengineering methods. Geoengineering is when you manipulate the climate, which is ironic when you think about it, because we're told that the biggest threat to humanity is climate change. It's man-made climate change, isn't it? That is the threat. Again, correct, but it's the stuff that they're doing on purpose. It's not I mean, okay, YouTube, this is just my opinion. It's not the effects of industry, which, yes, there are harmful effects of industry, of course, which we're trying to mitigate, rightly so. But it's the tampering that our overlords are doing with the climate. That's the stuff that is really scary. And some people don't even know, the average person doesn't even know it's happening, and they believe it's conspiracy. Well, I'm telling you, it's real. Just look it up yourself. You can look, everything I'm gonna tell you today, you can Google it yourself. So, what are these experiments they're gonna be doing? Well, they are sun dimming experiments. And it's being put on by the UK's Advanced Research and Invention Agency, ARIA. And they're funding £50 million for geoengineering trials to be conducted on us Brits without our consent. So their aim is to cool the planet by reflecting sunlight back into space. These are called sunlight reflection methods, SRMs. Everything evil in this world has a 3-letter acronym, I'm telling you. I'm not going to list all the other, just think of all the evil things that have a 3-letter acronym, and things and institutions, entities, and projects. So there are 2 main methods of sunlight reflection, and the first one is called stratospheric aerosol injection, which is exactly what it sounds like, injecting aerosolized particles into the stratosphere. Yeah, particles in our atmosphere that we could potentially ingest when they descend. That doesn't sound risky at all, does it? Well, apparently not. That's what they're claiming. So they're going to be releasing tiny particles into the stratosphere to reflect the sunlight, reflective particles. And do you know what evidence they're basing this on? Because it's just total theory, conjecture. It's never been done before. This is an experiment. Well, they say it's never been done before. I'm not so sure. My conspiratorial brain believes that they've already been experimenting with this. But their evidence that this is going to work is based on what happened in 2014 when there was a volcanic eruption in Iceland. Do you guys remember that? It was all over the news. There was a volcanic eruption in Iceland which released sulfur dioxide into the air, into the atmosphere, which brightened clouds and temporarily cooled the planet. So that was a positive outcome to these people. But I just remember every day it was on the news, it went on for months, that people were stranded all over the world who'd taken flights to go on holidays or for whatever reason, and they couldn't return home because all the flights were cancelled because of this sulfur dioxide cloud that had spread so wide that it made it dangerous for flights to operate. So there were no flights for, I can't remember how long it was. Does anyone else remember? And that was a huge catastrophe. But now it's something they want to replicate because now it's a good thing suddenly. They didn't mention what's going to happen to flights while they're conducting this experiment. So are they going to cancel all the flights, shut the airports, and allow people to get all stranded wherever they are again? Or are they just going to let the flights continue and not say anything? I mean, it was considered unsafe back in 2014. Are they going to claim that it's safe now, even though they're replicating that effect? What happens if there's a plane crash because a plane gets caught in this, whatever you call it, reflective cloud that they're creating? Are they going to be upfront about why that happened? Or are they just going to, do you know what I think they'll do? They'll allow us to believe it's because of DEI. They'll announce that it was a woman pilot. And then people like my Cantonese uncle will be like, woman pilot again. Woman cannot even drive car, how can they fly plane? Yeah, they'll let people run away with that set of conspiracy so they don't question the real conspiracy. But it's not even a conspiracy. This is what they're going to do. They've just announced they're going to do this. So another question I have is this even legal? Like, they're going to be experimenting on us, right? Because they don't know what the effect of these particles will be. I mean, we've been hearing for God knows how long that pollution is one of the worst things for our bodies, inhaling the little particulates from industry. And I suspect inhaling the particulates from a volcano, the sulfur dioxide particle, is not very good for you as well, right? But they're going to be filling the stratosphere with these little particulates that eventually they're going to settle, right? So is that an experiment to see what happens to us Brits when we inhale them? Surely this is a violation of the Nuremberg Code. Yeah, that thing. Does anyone remember that? Nobody seems to care about that anymore. You know, everyone bangs on about schmarzis and comparing everything to Germany in the era when the schmarzis were in charge. You know, everyone bangs on about that. Do they remember that what came about after that whole period in our history, at the end of it, was the Nuremberg Code that protects our right to not be human guinea pigs, to be experimented on without our informed consent? I don't think anybody remembers anymore. Again, as my Cantonese uncle would say, every day government making people sick, making people die, nobody care. Nobody care. That's the world today, isn't it? So I've covered the first method of sun reflection, So on to the second method, which is called marine cloud brightening, which again is what it sounds like, brightening marine clouds above the sea. Because ships spray, in this method, ships will be spraying sea salt particles to make the low-lying clouds brighter and thus more reflective. You know, like in the summertime, you're supposed to wear light colors because they reflect the sun and keep you cool. Whereas if you were wearing black, it absorbs the sun and makes you hot. Yeah, so it's that same principle. And so where is the evidence that they're basing this, you know, their belief that this is gonna work to reduce temperatures? Well, they looked at shipping, the industry of shipping, and observed that shipping fumes brighten clouds, creating a cooling effect over the ocean. So again, we've got climate scientists replicating the effects of industry on purpose. I don't know, maybe I'm naive here, but I thought we were supposed to be trying to minimize those effects, not creating them. Maybe I'm missing something. But these methods I described to you, we have just, as I said at the beginning of this video, here in the UK, our government has signed off to trials that are going to be conducted on us, the British people, in our atmosphere. And the specifics of these trials are going to be announced in the coming weeks. And they try to assure us, oh, you don't have to worry. These particles are not going to be toxic. They're non-toxic. Do you trust them when they tell you something is non-toxic? Do our overlords have a good track record of telling us things are non-toxic when they are? But here's an even more ridiculous claim they make, that this is fully reversible. How many times have we heard that before? Fully reversible. How? They've never done this before. It's an experiment. How are they going to reverse it? Like, for example, if these particulates descend into our atmosphere and we inhale them and our bodies are full of them, how are they going to reverse that? Suck them back out of us? You're going to suck the particles out of me? Who's going to do that? But I have an even bigger concern that nobody has raised yet. Like, I've read up on this and nobody has said anything about this. And well, how is it that I'm the only one who's thought of this? I should be in government, shouldn't I? I should become a politician or run for prime minister, because I've got your back, because I'm thinking about these things and nobody else is. What is it I'm thinking about? Well, this is a violation of Article 2 of the Human Rights Act, as far as I'm concerned, which is our right to life and our right for nobody to undertake anything that's going to endanger our lives or reduce our life expectancy. But nobody cares about the Human Rights Act anymore either. But if they did, this is something that I think would be a contravention of Article 2 of the Human Rights Act, because what you're doing by reducing sunlight, you're reducing our vitamin D. And unless you've been under a rock for the last 5 years, you'll know that vitamin D is essential. It's essential for our immune system so that we don't fall prey to illness. You know, that was a concern, wasn't it, in 2020, 2021? Well, all of a sudden it's not. All of a sudden it's more important to cool the planet. I mean, look at our weather in the UK. Does it seem like a grave emergency here that we need to, you know, if of all the places to trial this, the UK, like as if we're like suffering from intense heat. But yeah, they think it's more important to reduce our sunlight than to worry about our vitamin D levels. And we all know that the more northerly we all know that the further north you go, the more crucial it is that you get enough vitamin D. And so in the northern hemisphere, most of us need vitamin D supplementation because we don't even get enough from the sun because there's not enough sunlight as it is. So we need to take supplements. And do you know who will be hardest hit by this reduction of sunlight? Have a guess. Who is it in our society who suffers the most from vitamin D deficiency? Ethnic minorities, people with darker skin. They need more vitamin D than people with lighter skin. So I would say that this endeavor to reduce sunlight for the sake of climate change is racist because it's going to harm ethnics. Do you know who else it will harm? The elderly and also pregnant women who also need more vitamin D. Take that in your pipe and smoke it, elites. But here is the final whammy. If that wasn't bad enough, everything that I've already told you. And this part I'm going to read because this was from an article in the Daily Mail on this whole project. And this is what they've identified as the biggest concern. You ready for this? Experts have previously warned the technique is a risky strategy that could wreak havoc on our weather patterns. Oh, great. Isn't that the whole problem? Triggering severe droughts or devastating cyclones. Whoopee! The study from Rutgers University in New Jersey found that suddenly halting so-called solar geoengineering would have severe impacts on our climate. Oh, let's do it then, huh? The stoppage would drastically accelerate climate change. Oh, that's what we need to do. We need to accelerate climate change, don't we? Yes, so if we were to halt the geoengineering suddenly, we would drastically accelerate climate change with severe consequences for the planet's wildlife, researchers said. Rapid warming after stopping geoengineering would be a huge threat to the natural environment and biodiversity. If geoengineering ever stopped abruptly, it would be devastating, so you would have to be sure that it could be stopped gradually. And it is easy to think of scenarios that will prevent that. Yeah, can they guarantee that they'll be able to taper this off gradually? Can they guarantee that there will be no circumstances, no unforeseen circumstances that would cause them to have to halt the geoengineering? What if we had a whole lot of plane crashes happening suddenly? Would they just continue and allow the planes to keep crashing? Which is a viable concern, is it not? Here's what example they've given. Imagine large droughts or floods around the world that could be blamed on geoengineering. Oh, whoopee! Yeah, let's reduce the sunlight for Britain and cause huge droughts and floods in the third world. Oh well, you know, they're less important, aren't they? Right? That's the logic, isn't it? So imagine if that happened and there were demands that it stop. Can we ever risk that? I mean, thinking about it, because this is totally uncharted territory, how do they know what kind of catastrophic weather catastrophes they're going to create and where? I mean, I said third world, but who knows where it'll be? It's just, you know, it's a racist stereotype that we associate these kind of things with the third world, but even the term third world is probably racist now, isn't it? But, you know, we could cause catastrophes anywhere, couldn't we? Who are these people who sit around in a boardroom coming up with these cockamamie ideas? Do you know who they are? The Sohai. But you know what's also really interesting about this is that for years now, the mainstream media have been gaslighting us whenever we talk about stuff like geoengineering, like pretending that it doesn't exist when we know it does. There's been years of so-called conspiracy theories floating around about chemtrails, because this is how they're going to do it, right? There'll be planes flying overhead emitting these particles. That's chemtrailing. They've been telling us that chemtrails are a conspiracy for God knows how many years, but anyone with a brain knows that it's real. It's been widely documented. You can look the stuff up if you know which websites to look at. You know, the organizations that are behind this. And yet, the mainstream media have been telling normies that it's fake news. And now here they are about to do it. We've just signed off to it. But again, this has been done quietly. It wasn't all over the news, was it? Everyone was arguing about what is a woman. And now you know why. While we were all arguing about what a woman is, our government signed off to this. You could argue, you could call it the elite playing God. That's what it is, isn't it? Our overlords playing God, being Mother Nature, Father Nature. And another thing, if you're going to get really conspiratorial here, is how big a concern is global warming anyway? I'm not really allowed to say much on this, of course, but climate science is a big area of study and debate and controversy. And while we talk about global warming because we seem to be in a warming phase right now, if you look at our climate history, it's made up of a constant zigzag of warming and cooling. So how much do our human endeavors impact that cycle? The climate scientists have honed in on one part of the graph, but if you look at the bigger graph, do you know where we are in the cycle? I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not giving you the answers. I'm not allowed to, but it's something that I would urge you to investigate. And one person who has spoken a lot about this is the guy who I think he was the founder of Greenpeace, or someone very senior at Greenpeace. He's expressed a lot of doubt over the narratives we've been fed, which again I cannot go into here. You just have to research it yourself. If you know in the comments who this guy is and what his role is, if I got it wrong, do let me know. And another thing about global warming is that if you look at the way our temperatures are being measured, they've got these measurement devices placed around the planet. And if you think about how our planet has changed over the last 100 years in terms of urbanization, so if you're going to compare like for like, if you're going to compare temperatures in the same spot 100 years ago to the temperature today, it's going to be affected by urbanization, isn't it? Because we've got new cities that have formed all over the planet that weren't there 100 years ago. Look at China. So, you know, that's something else to factor into what you're being told. So anyway, there you have it. That's my rant over. This is why today in particular I'm feeling that we are living in 戇鳩外國 or 傻閪世界. And I'd love to hear your comments on this. Do you think this is crazy too? Are there any other concerns that I've not mentioned? And would you, if you were told that this was going to happen and you had a say in it, would you have consented to this? I certainly wouldn't. I mean, these kind of experiments, I think they happen all over the world and most people don't know about them. It's just that we have more transparency nowadays because there's such a thing as the internet and social media. So this kind of stuff gets out because I don't think the government wanted us to know about this. But it's all out there now. And I think these kind of experiments usually happen in other parts of the world. You know what I mean? Yeah, so again, let me know your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. I'll wait for you while you do it now, because it really does make a big difference to my performance as a new creator. And if you enjoyed this video, please watch this one too on a related subject. Thank you very much, and have a great day or evening.